This video is going to show you how to work with rows, columns, and elements. Very simple to understand. I want to scroll up here. A row consists of columns, which consist of elements. Remember that. Your row consists of columns, which consist of elements. If you need an element, it's on the left-hand side. So let's go ahead and start from this blank page. Now that we understand rows, columns, and elements, we have to now understand that elements can be seen, like your logo, your navigation, text, and so forth. You can see the elements, but you can't see rows and columns. Your rows and columns basically make up the wireframe for your site. So especially if you're a novice, draw it out. Draw out what you need. It will save you time. For the more intermediate and advanced people, they may probably have it in their head and just want to just get started and go at it. But some of the most advanced web designers will still draw out their wireframe. So this makes it much easier. If you have a company, make sure that you get different opinions on your wireframe. You may get some better suggestions on how to create it. Okay, so let's go to manage pages here, and let's go to new page. Right now I'm on a blank page, so we're not going to go there. Especially if you're novice, make sure you check out all these different layouts, especially list, matrix, and complex page, because it may have a better option than what you have now. So by looking at these different options, you may find a better one for you. When you look at About Us, Contact Us, Photo Gallery, Restaurant Menu, and Locations, if you already have a website and you're doing a new website, it should pull in all that content and help populate those pages. For the list, matrix, and complex, it will not. As you see the wireframe on the right hand side of these different options, that's what you're going to get. Okay, so if you're novice, plan it out. Make sure you check out those different templates, those different layouts, excuse me. You may find something better. But for the bold people, we enter a blank page. Now I'm going to go ahead and start and say that I highly suggest you add an element, and it's going to be your spacers. Down into basics. Find that spacer, drag and drop it over. And I take my spacer down to 5 pixels. Now why would I do that? What happens is, if you go from another page and you were to copy a whole row, when you go to paste that row, as you see here, it doesn't say paste below or above. It's automatically going to paste above the row. So as you see here, you can't just paste into empty space. It's going to paste automatically above that row. That's why I created a blank row, or I added that spacer into that empty row. But you notice it's not very high. As it goes towards the bottom, I will have some adequate space as well. So as I copied an element earlier, I'm just going to ahead and paste it inside here. And as you notice, the row is below it. So now I have something I could work with that I copy and pasted it. So once again, remember, it's always going to paste it above the row. So make sure that if you wanted it here and you go to paste, understand it's going to paste above it. So if you want this above, at the top, you paste it above that row, as you see. And if you don't want the row, you just hover over it and go to delete. Now, I'm going to go ahead and paste that again. All right, so I'm going to show you now how to actually take one row and move it above or below another one. It's very simple. If you want to move the row above or below another row, simply go to where it says row, find the crosshairs, hold down on your mouse or your pen, whatever you're using, and then you can actually drop it in there. Excuse me, I messed up. Here we go. As you see, it is moving. And now I have that space there. If I want to move it up a little bit higher, I just grab it, drag and drop it. And it will drop it above or in the place that you want. So I'm going to do it here. There's a blue line. I am safe. We'll drag it back down to the bottom again. And I keep an empty row at the bottom at all times because maybe I want to copy something from another page and drop it at the very bottom. So there I have something to just paste it and it will land there at the bottom. Little tip for you there. Okay, so now that we've talked about rows, let's talk about the columns. Go ahead and delete that. Right now you see we have 3 columns, right? If I see where it says empty column and I don't want it, I just click on the X and now I have 2 columns. If you want to add extra columns, just hover over row, click add column. If you want another one, click add column again. As you see, it fades out. It will only allow you to have 4 columns. Remember, if you want to delete a column, you have to delete the element first. Then you can delete the column. Now, once you're in your column, by the way, if you have a row and you want to move this row, if you notice how this is working, you can see right here when I'm on the edge, I have the option to just drag it. I could actually resize my row, a whole row, just like this. And you can do it from one of 2 places. You could do it from the bottom. Oops, check it out. So I dragged it down. Well, here I'm dragging my whole navigation. I don't think I want to do that. All right. So to resize that top one, I'm just going to use the bottom. There we go. Check it out. All right. So that's how you actually can resize the row itself. But what I want to show you now is how to resize your image. You have to understand that your boundary is the column wall, right? So if I hover over this image and I click on it, I can't resize it. See where it turns red on the right hand side? I can't do it because it's going up against the column wall. I'm only going to be able to minimize it. If you want this image to be bigger, right, you would have to actually adjust the column itself. As you see what I'm doing here, it actually expands the image. All right. So all you have to do is click on the element and resize it. So you notice there the column was pretty out here. So when I went to minimize it, it did give some space in between. My suggestion is to keep the image up against the wall, and if you want to resize it, go by the column itself. It should keep it more in proportion. Now, when you are resizing the image, and you want to do that, or you want to bring the image up and down, or the element up and down, you want to play around with the padding that's at the top. My suggestion is to click on the image itself, outside of the blue area. That allows this to happen. So all you see is the boxes here and the image. If I click on where it says image, you'll see a drop down. Sometimes you have it goes to the top, but this is okay. But I always click on the element outside of the blue box because these come up and I don't get obstructed, because sometimes it will pop up instead of drop down, and when it does that, it gets in the way of this area here that I want to move my image. Let's see if I can get that to happen. There it goes. See how that worked? Now I can't reach to the top and grab it, so my suggestion is to, when you hover over it, to click somewhere on the element outside of the blue. And you notice there's no pop-up. I'm able to access what I need. So there you go. That's how you work with rows. That's how you drag rows where you need them to be. That's how you work with columns. And that's how you work with the elements all in together. Have fun.